to Maxed Out Man, helping you become the man you were made to be.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Maxed Out Man podcast. This is episode number 18. We are here with Jason Priest today. Jason is a life coach, registered nurse, and does fitness coaching, health and fitness. He's the co-founder of the Fatherhood Experience. And hey man, welcome. I know you're sitting there in your empty house as you're moving, so I appreciate you taking the time to join us. So hey, looking at your bio, looking at some of your stuff, first of all, let me just say that you have one of the my favorite new title for a blog post, which is, "Are you sick and tired of your wife playing with your moobs?" That's on that's an article on your website.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty excited to talk to you. You and I are very well aligned, doing kind of the same, have the same basic goals. And I'm a fitness guy from way back. So hey, tell me more about what you do, who you are, kind of give us a sense.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So I'll go back to your intro. I would definitely not call myself a life coach. However, I feel like the life coach space is filled with people who don't really have a job. They just want to help people be happier. So that is definitely not me. However, I am a registered nurse. I did start off my career in the ICU, and we do our company now does a lot of leadership and personal development, personal growth for dads. I'm a father myself. I have 2 children myself, 2 kids, 2 boys. And we've got a empty house, and we're about to move to San Antonio to be closer to family. But really, man, how I got started into all this is became a registered nurse, worked in the ICU about 6 years, and saw a lot of dark stuff, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Done some chest compressions on a lot of young dads, early 40s, which is where I'm at now. And so I went through my own health transformation. I became very overweight after my mom passed away. Turned to alcohol, fast food, a lot of just escapism, if you will. And so, I ballooned up as anybody would, drinking a bunch of beer and eating fast food and going to the golf course every day. So that was my life for a while after her death. She died when she was 49 and I was 25 at the time. I had just married my wife 2 months prior. We were going to start our lives together. And I got punched in the gut real quick when my mom passed on September 11th, 4 years after our country attack. So so I went through a depression there, and I got fat. I felt like shit. I was fat, had no energy, had the moobs, the gut, and didn't like who I had become. And my wife at the time was making some little nudges to me, but as all men know that gain weight, your wife is not going to be your biggest inspirer, right? It's not going to be the person that gets you off your ass. It's generally not, right? It's your spouse, it's your best friend, it's your wife. It's not a dude who's going to call you on your shit.
Yep.
And so I took those subtle nudges for about 4 years and finally decided, man, I got to get my own shit together. Went through my own transformation, got into health coaching not too long, a couple years after that, and then became a personal trainer because I was so passionate about how good I felt. One of our little mottos in the fatherhood is, it feels damn good to feel damn good. All right. And so that's a kind of a synopsis on how I got to be with you today. I did start my own company back in 2018. We were Dad Bod Health. And then I met my business partner about 2.5 years ago, and we rebranded to the Fatherhood. And we got our Fatherhood Experience podcast. The Fatherhood Experience umbrella is the company over all of our programs, but our baby is the Fatherhood and the men that we're able to help in there. We host in-person retreats, and really, it's a lot of deep men's work, right? Getting rid of limiting beliefs, going deep on past trauma and past shitty relationships, maybe with your dad or other family members, and really giving these guys a platform to be able to let it all out. I think some of the challenges we have as men is asking for help. It's very hard to ask for help, but letting it all out, and then giving them a tactical approach, if you will, on climbing out of that hole and building a life of their dreams. And so that's a little bit about me to get it rocking.
That's awesome. Sorry to hear about your mom. I know it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing to go through, I'm sure. Now, Was the food food and alcohol part of that coping mechanism, part of your life prior to the death, and that was just like what you knew to go
Good
to?
question, man. Yeah. So I liked my adult beverages, right? Like it was a weekend thing for me. And who doesn't love fast food? But I think, it just became very magnified when my mom passed away, because I became addicted to golf. Really, I used golf as my outlet. And so I would get off work in the morning. I was working night shift in the ICU. I'd get off work from a 12-hour shift, meet my couple of nurse buddies at the golf course. We would all stop and get 6-pack of tall boys on the way and some fat Taco Bell fast food breakfast, and hit the golf course, right? And I'd do that every day, and it just became a continuous loop of negativity and weight gain. And so I still like my occasional adult beverages. I I'm in Texas, so I like some margaritas, and I enjoy that still, but not on a daily basis where it's, I'm just drowning out reality.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I think, and you said that you kind of deal with past traumas and past habits and all that. And I'm sure you see the same thing where whatever our go-to is, that's our go-to, right? Like that's what I'm fortunate or unfortunate. I grew up in a family of drug addicts and alcoholics and all that. And when my wife and I got married 28 years ago, today's actually the day that I proposed to her 28 years ago. So it's the anniversary of that. But we just she doesn't drink. She's actually allergic to alcohol. I don't drink. So it's never been part of our kind of ethos here in our house, never been something that we turn to. But I'm right now trying to deal with some sugar addiction. She's a pastry chef and baker. So imagine someone whose inner fat kid loves sugar, trying to control that stuff. But so that sugar tends to be more of that and, kind of overworking and all that kind of tend to be my thing. But I was interested to know whether or not that's something that you kind of lean towards. And the kind of funny thing is that you turned also to sport, which is golf, which I used to play a ton of golf, and we always walked it, but it's barely exercise, honestly. And if you're riding around a cart, it's 100% not exercise if you're just riding around the cart and getting out to hit the ball and that.
Well, kind of the Dad Bod health thing was, my logo was a dude with 2 dumbbells, and one was a burger and one was a beer. So kind of built that brand behind the, get healthy and fit, but still be able to have your burger and beer. And so I'm very much a burger and a beer kind of guy. But dude, like over the years, I've developed, I was an IPA fan, and I quit drinking beer altogether this year because I started the IPA, the hops in the IPA started messing with my hands, and like I would feel inflamed after I drank it. And I'm like, this isn't really good anymore. So I gave up most of the beer, which is, that's a big source of weight gain for most dudes. But I still partake on occasion. It's not a daily occurrence for me like it was when I went through my depression.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I don't think most people realize the metabolic process for alcohol versus any other food, right? Like it's obviously the body treats it like a carb essentially because it is alcohol sugar, but it essentially bypasses digestion and can be stored directly as fat. So like that whole beer gut thing, right? So
yeah, and the thing is it's a toxin, and this is where a lot of guys get They end up chasing their tails. And I've seen this a lot, right? Like, okay, I want to get healthy now. I want to start working out, but I don't want to give up my wind down beers in the evening, right? I like to have 3 or 4 beers in the evening. Okay, well, like, dude, we need to find something else for you, right? That's a stress reliever because clearly you're using this as a crutch, right? So when you get into this continuous loop of I want to get better, but I also want to have this too, the cake and eat it too kind of mentality. Well, moderation goes out the window, man. If you're a daily drinker, you're a daily drinker, and just call it that, right? It's like, I drink moderately. Well, like you drink daily, dude. 3 to 4 beers. Yeah, you're not going to get hammered, but dude, 3 to 4 beers. I mean, you're drinking a case of beer every week, right? Yeah. Like if that's your thing, and then you probably step it up on Saturday and Sunday or Friday and Saturday night. And so to say all that, man, like when we see guys start taking strides to getting healthy, but then they self-sabotage with the alcohol. The problem is your body sees alcohol as a toxin. And in order to get into fat burning mode, you got to get rid of the toxin first. So we see guys they'll go have a great workout, they'll eat healthy all day, come home, they'll have a few beers. Well, like they go to the gym next day, and in order to get into fat burning mode, they got to get rid of the toxins first. So how much of your workout is being spent catching up versus getting ahead, right? And so for us, man, like we teach a structured system, if you will, specifically for alcohol. It's like, you guys can drink, but you got to keep it to the weekends, man, if you really want to start carving out some results. Because when you let it creep into the week, you go through that scenario that I just told you, and not only that, it starts to mess with your focus, your mental health. You are going to gain weight, and all the negative impacts that come with alcohol, consistent alcohol as well. So. Yeah,
I've kind of just found that there's not enough benefit, and to me in my life, there's lots of things that I find more enjoyable than alcohol. I mean, I don't really like the taste of it, so that's different for me. I know people like the taste of whiskey and beer and all that, but I mean, if you're doing 3 of those a night, unless you're drinking like the super low calorie, whatever light beer, I mean, you're talking about like 600 calories a day times 7. That's essentially a pound a week, right? Like 30, it's more than a pound a week, right? So that's where it gets to be a challenge. So I'm not very good at moderation. I'm kind of like all in or not, and I binge and that kind of thing. And I find that right now, like trying to cut some of the sugars out and all that stuff, like I can't just like do that in moderation. Like I almost have to kill it altogether.
Yeah.
I just went through, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I get it. Some people are all or none people, man. And that's part of self-awareness is right. Like it's hard for me to get behind the all or none mentality, because that's not necessarily who I am, but I understand that, right? We got a guy that came out, attended one of our retreats, and he was a high functioning alcoholic, and one of my closest clients. And dude, the guy came out and was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And he made a decision that when he got home, he wasn't going to drink anymore. And now he's been sober for damn near 2 years, and he saved I think he posted something like he's almost up to like $9,000 in savings. And so, the all or none mentality, if that's you have to have enough self-awareness to say, okay, well, I'm an all or none guy and I got to cut it out. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
because I tend to be super, like, I'm just one of those guys. I have multiple businesses. I do multiple things, and I'm kind of like this. I have to have that structure in order to kind of keep things on track. And I tend to do it a little bit at a time. Like I did about 12 weeks where I wanted to prove I'm 50, and I wanted to prove at 50, I could get back down to the body fat that I had that I wanted to be. And so I dropped down about 7.2%, but that requires, that's a lot of effort. Even, it's a lot of,
that's a lot of
20s. It's a little bit more effort in my 50s, early 50s, but like that is something that I have to kind of really concentrate on and push forward on that. So what kind of things do you, by the way, I actually started my personal training career we lived in Garland, and I ran a club in Mesquite. I worked out of a club there. So I know you're in DFW, but so walk me through kind of the basics of what you guys teach for these, and kind of what it looks like for someone 35 plus. And it's hard right now to like define that, because I'm, with us, we're looking at 45 plus, 35 plus. But I find once these guys get over about 30, it's such a huge variable in what they do.
Yeah.
What kind of things are you teaching these guys in terms of like, as you get older, what things you need to take control of and how the approach varies?
Yeah, great question, man. And to be honest with you, health and fitness is simply our bread and butter. And we like to look at that as, it's the foundation for living your best life. If you're not healthy and fit, then you're going to have areas in your life where you can't fulfill your potential. It's just not possible, right?
100%.
So I think we can all agree that taking care of yourself and living a healthy lifestyle and prioritizing longevity if possible is the path forward. But for us, everybody knows, I would say everybody, most people know how to eat healthy or how to work out, right? This is not rocket science. We teach hard work, dude. That's basically what it is, right? And so we have a very simple way that we teach it. And we have our 4 pillars of health, which are sleep, stress management, nutrition, and fitness. We loop a lot of our personal development content and leadership content into stress management. We have something that we teach called the GBR method. And it's just a short little powerful morning routine. You hear these 2-hour drawn out, ice bath and meditation and all this stuff, right? And we feel like if guys can start the day by avoiding their cell phone, practicing gratitude, and putting a little positivity into their brain, they're going to have a lot better start than most days, right? And so we came up with the GBR method, which stands for gratitude, breathing, and reading. And it's essentially five gratitude, 5 things in your gratitude journal, 10 boxed breaths to get some deep breathing going, bring down the cortisol levels a little bit, and then 5 to 10 pages of personal development reading. So you're putting some positivity in your brain, right? You're learning a little bit of something. What you also didn't do was hop on your phone. You didn't scroll, you didn't scroll your screen. You didn't get all that blue light exposure. And so it's not just as powerful of what you did, but also what you didn't do, right? So it creates this very, very simple but structured way to start your day. And so we loop a lot of our personal development stuff into that stress management component, because what we want these guys to know is that you've got to develop a constant hunger or constant desire for growth, right? If you take your foot off the gas, you're moving backwards. There's no neutral in life. And so for me, if I'm complacent and I'm stagnant, I'm going back, right? Mm-hmm. So for what we've tried to instill into our guys is that 1% better every day, but you got to be moving forward, right? You've got to be able to fight through the adversity, because life is going to kick you in the face. And when you come to expect this, right, you get to the place in life where the gut punch is coming, you're going to get punched in the face, and you've got to continue to get up every day and weather the storm. That's really what it's all about. They come in, they've tried everything, right? So we lead with weight loss for most of our guys. So they come in and they've tried the keto and the Weight Watchers and Whole30 and all the fad diets and Optavia and the replacement shakes and all that nonsense, right? So they've tried those things and they don't know why they can't lose weight and keep it off. We've got a guy who's lost 1,000 pounds, 100 pounds 10 times. Okay.
Wow.
Lost 1,000 pounds throughout his life, but he can't keep it off. I'm like, okay, well, clearly you know how to lose weight. You don't know how to keep it off. Well, what would you say? Let me ask you, what's the most important component of being able to keep the weight off long term? What do you think, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, you have to develop those habits, right? Which I know is big of what you guys do. You've got to have instead of, like, for me, if I take this 12-week thing, right, like that's a finite goal to get me to a particular place that I want to be. However, I've for the last 30 years of my life, I work out 6 to 7 days a week and I practice all these things. And that's my lifestyle, right? Like that's what I think most people struggle with, right?
Yeah, I agree. And when you look at it like that, right, it's habits and discipline. And the one thing that we emphasize is like our minimum contract time with our guys is 6 months, because like you said with the 12-week thing, right? Like anything that you could do anything for 12 weeks. I wouldn't say you can do anything for 6 months. Like 6 months of hard work is 6 months of hard work. And if you show up and you continue to show up for 6 full months, right, you are building habits and you are building consistency into your day-to-day that ultimately should stick long-term if you just keep showing up, right? So what we try to do is get our guys to very much believe that the more robotic your habits can become, the better you're going to be long-term, because you got to find the path of least resistance, right? It's like, how can I get myself to do this with the least amount of procrastination or the least amount of anxiety or shit? I know I just got to get up and go work out. How can I get that done? We got to find the path of least resistance in our brains to be able to digest that so that we don't come up with an excuse, right? Because if it's a priority, it gets done. If it's an excuse, or if it's not a priority, it gets an excuse, right? So for us, it's getting them to show up, repeat these habits over time. They're all fairly simple habits. You're going to the gym. You're prioritizing nutrition. You're prioritizing sleep. You're working on your mindset. You're getting plugged into podcasts and reading and things that are going to help you get better as a man. You're developing core values for your family. You're establishing what means most to you in your life, right? If you're a healthy dad, or if you're an obese dad and you want to be healthy, well, like that needs to become your identity, right? It needs to become a core value of yours. We are a healthy family so that the whole family unit can get on board. It's literally an identity change. And guys don't want to hear that. Like, I don't want to become somebody else. I'm like, dude, you're a fat, lazy piece of shit right now. What do you mean you don't want to become someone else?
Right.
Like, dude, you've got to go through an identity change. You don't have to stay a loser. You don't have to stay a fat ass. You don't have to stay hooked on all these medications and addicted to sugar and scrolling, Netflix all the time. You don't have to live like that. And if you want to get better, it's going to require an identity change. And I think that's the biggest thing, man, is developing the habits over time, establishing that long-term discipline, because you have such a powerful why, right? Like the why is very surface level conversation, because I think everybody's why can change, and it can also be very different. Your why is probably quite a bit different than my why, but it's strong enough for you to get up each week and do your 6 workouts a week, right?
Yeah.
You know that in order for you to get up and run your businesses and the things that you need to do, your health and fitness is a requirement, right? It's who you are. It's what you stand for. It's your identity. If you don't do these things, Kevin is not going to feel like Kevin anymore, right? Kevin is now going to start to feel a lesser version of Kevin. You don't feel as strong. You don't feel as confident. You start to feel soft. You start to doubt yourself in other areas of life. People start to lose respect for you, right? I think we can all agree those who look healthy, fit, and well-kept get more respect, whether you believe that's right or wrong. If I see an obese person versus somebody who's very well-kept and looks like they can get the job done, who am I going to rely on? Who's the more reliable person? It's not a judgment. It's simply a fact, right? You are more capable if you're fit than you over here who's obese and might slip a disc picking up a 10-pound box in your garage. And so, that's a little taste of what we're all about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, and it's a little bit ego driven from my standpoint. I mean, I'm 50. I'm probably one of the most fit 50-year-olds that I know. Yeah. I look up to other guys, 45, 50, 60, who are fit. And I could tell you 100%, I can get better treatment and have different levels of respect from pretty much everybody I interact with. And this sounds kind of like a humble brag, but it's really not, because I portray confidence and fitness and health and kind of that they look at me versus like if I was 300 pounds, that, then they look at you like you're a sloth and you're easy and all of those things. And I think that that's one of the things now with this big movement. We were watching the show called Impact. It was a CBS show or something when they were talking about this movement now, and it was particularly centered around women's health. But this whole thing about, embrace the beauty at every size. Yeah. And they had Jillian. I mean, they're doing the same thing for dads, but they had Jillian Michaels on there, and she was like, it's none of my business how big you are. Right. However, I cannot celebrate obesity and know that it's going to end your life more quickly. Yeah. And I think interesting. So here's what I'm interested in hearing, because you use the phrase Dad Bod a lot. Obviously, it was in one of your businesses and all that. I think there's this great lie. Somebody released this study, and I'm pretty sure it was a fat guy, but released this study that women find Dad Bods more attractive than
bullshit
fit bods. So,
well, so we'll go back to Jillian Michaels for a second. I did see a piece of that, or I don't think I saw the show, but I saw her talking about something along those lines. The reality is this healthy at every size. Unfortunately, if you peel back the onions and you look at what's gone on in our country over the last few years, this is very much part of the plan. This is very much part of the agenda. The more obese our population is, the more medications they're on, the more they consume, the more sugar they eat, the fatter they get, and the more reliant they become on the government, right? I think we can all agree that if you're obese and you're on a bunch of medicines and you're scrolling Netflix and buying shit on Amazon all the time, you're what the government loves, right? Mm-hmm. You provide that constant flow of income for them. So when we hear healthy at every size, I think you also have to look at some of the other areas of our country and see some of the other things that we've been misled on, right? And so I think that we all can agree that there is no such thing as health at every size. They started pushing this in corporate wellness right when I got out. I was a health coach in corporate wellness before I started my company. And they started pushing this then. And some of my friends were actually getting on board with this, some of my coworkers. And I was like, no, you don't understand. It's not like, this is not okay. And they started saying, well, like, look, I mean, they've got great blood work. They're, did all this and all that. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, the fact of the matter is you have a cluster of visceral fat around your organs. And I've seen this exact cluster of fat around your organs kill many people in the ICU. You are not going to convince me that there is a such thing of a health at every size. It's just not possible, right? So, I cannot, like, when I start hearing that, all that is doing is it serves two purposes, right? It gives the government what they want: more consumers, a bigger obesity population, a sicker population, easier controlled. But it also provides this this acceptance for obese people, right? Like you mentioned, you got these this singer, what's her name? Lizzo, right?
Lizzo. I was just about to bring, who has to be 400.
Oh, dude, she's out there shaking and twerking and stuff. And
yeah,
when you walk around and you're prideful about that, like, it's not possible to feel good about yourself. It's literally impossible.
Or to feel good physically.
You can't.
It's just, no.
You can't. You've been, I think you said how big were you at your heaviest?
I mean, I was only like 206, 208.
Okay.
But
so
my normal weight is probably, like, at my fittest is in the 185. Like, at the leanest is 185. Normal fitness is 190. So that's an extra almost 20 pounds, we'll say.
Yeah. So I was actually 60 pounds overweight, and I can guarantee you that you do not have that level of energy and all these things that this person flaunts, right? So she's a spokesperson for the agenda, and I get it, right? So the more that you peel back the layers, you're going to see more and more of this shit being talked about, right? But again, not going to go there. The Dad Bod. Okay, this study, all this is, it is a built-in excuse for obesity, because all this is a woman saying, yeah, I appreciate the Dad Bod because I don't have to take care of myself anymore. Because if my husband's fat, I can also be fluffy and soft, and I don't have to maintain a level of fitness that requires hard work, right? Yeah. And that's just it. And so when you have a woman that says that a Dad Bod is healthier than a fit body, it's a lie. It's lies, or excuses are simply lies we tell ourselves when we're not committed, right? All that is a built-in excuse because you don't want to do the work, because you know that it's hard work to maintain a certain level of fitness.
Right.
You got to get up every day and do it, right? You got to pay the bill. You cannot work out once a month and be fit. It's not going to happen, right? And so, these lies that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better, all they do is just mask the problem, and eventually that ends up coming out in the form of mental health, or the form of violence, or the form of a deep, dark depression, mental health, right? Like you can only lie for so long to make yourself feel good. And so, confronting reality is the first step for change.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because a lot of the premise behind it is that, well, guys that are fit, and I'm not talking about, like, I think they lumped it into like fitness model level fit, which requires a certain amount of work.
Yeah.
It requires such a lifestyle that I don't think most people realize what that would do to personal relationships. But they were saying fit men are so ego driven that it makes them less desirable as a partner. Whereas a guy that has a Dad Bod is more, it's a better father, and I'm like, this is such horseshit.
This bullshit.
It's like, how do you say that a guy that's overweight doesn't really do anything to better themselves? How is that a better person than someone that actually does work on themselves?
You're telling me that's a better father, right? Like, what kind of example are you setting for your children? You're a better father because you don't respect yourself enough to take care of your health? Like, no, you lose me there, because the reality is you're a better nothing, right? Like, if I'm going to the gym every day and I feel confident because of it, but I'm also able to take care of my family and do all the things around the house and go fix some shit and do the things that men need to do around the house so that women don't have to do it. And then you ask the soft dad bod guy, who again probably screws up his back by picking up a 10-pound box in the garage. I'm just not like, again, we will justify anything possible to eliminate hard work. And that's why what I do and what my company does is such a hard sell, dude. Like, we're selling hard work, right? Yeah. People don't want to pay for hard work. It's a, the guys got to really truly be ready and know that they want to work with a team of professionals and not do the keto and try the failed shit. Because that's where we come in. I'm like, dude, we have myself, I'm a registered nurse. We have nutrition coach. We have personal trainer. We have all of these people on our team that have all this experience, advanced experience in different areas, right? So we can come in, we can read your blood work, we can work around injuries, we can give you a very comprehensive approach that's tailored to your life. This is not fitness in a box. And then we're going to come in and we're going to help you fix your mindset, right? So it's very hard for guys to see the big picture, right? We want the immediate results. Because everything else is immediate. I can get something off Amazon Prime delivered today. I can go and get something on Netflix right now, pick whatever I want to watch. I can get something off DoorDash for lunch if I want, right? It's all immediate. Well, unfortunately, health, fitness, weight loss, none of it's immediate, and it all requires hard work, and it all requires consistent hard work. Yeah. And that's just a tough sell, man. When you've got guys that, they want to keep kicking the can down the road, and then you combine that with the fact that men just were afraid to ask for help. We were conditioned at a young age that big boys don't cry. You got to be big, proud, and brave, and that you can rub some dirt on it and it'll be okay. When you start hearing that language as you're being raised through childhood, it's almost expected for you to just figure it out as a man, keep your emotions inside, don't let anybody know how you're feeling, and you got to keep showing up every day. And that's just it's a very challenging thing for men who do need help, who have a lot of pain, to raise their hand and say, hey man, like, can I get a little help? Right? It's a hard thing to do. And so, it's hard work. It's bottom line.
Yeah. And I mean, there's, we're not shaming that guy that is in that place in their lives. We're just, and there's this whole premise that, all you need to do is take a walk, do a mile walk every day and you'll be healthy. Well, if that mile walk is the start of the journey, or half mile, or if you're 450 pounds, a freaking quarter mile at, as slow as pace as you can get, as long as that's the first steps on the journey, not the end journey, right? Because I think that's what so many people are told. I was a trainer back in the mid to late 90s, so things have changed a ton, and we know a lot more than we did at that point. But the idea hasn't changed, right? Like you got to do the work. You got to burn more calories than you take in. You got to lift weights. You got to have good cardio fitness and good sleep. Like, those premises have not changed.
No.
Before anybody did a normal workout in a gym back in the, 1800s, they did it because their lifestyle was that way. Like, they had that level of fitness because they worked their ass off. But like, all the fads and all of that have just made it more complicated.
Yep. It's a very, it's unfortunate, man. I think the only way for me to describe it is it's sad, because we have an obesity epidemic, and we have a lot of companies out there like mine, right? Like, I'm not tooting my own horn, but we provide real help, right? We're not, This is not like a cheap cookie cutter. We do not do fitness in a box. I'm not going to write you a meal plan and say, get back to me in 2 weeks, dude. I want to know how you're doing. I want to know that you're succeeding. And if you're not, I want to know where you're struggling so that we can help you put this behind you for good. And companies like mine are few and far between nowadays, because the industry as a whole, especially with fitness, which is why we really kind of try to get into the personal development space, because with fitness, man, like, it's all very scripted, right? Here's your workout, here's your cookie cutter workout and your meal plan, and like, here's your macros for the week. Like, dude, how many guys are going to fucking follow macros for the rest of your life? It ain't happening, right? Like, you're not going to count macros and live off a meal plan until you're 80. It's just not happening. And so, for me, it saddens me to have the country in the shape that we're in health wise. Going back to what I alluded to earlier with, part of the agenda. I don't think the those in charge want a healthy population. And it's hard for somebody like me who's fighting against that, because I see countries, healthy countries, right? Like a Sweden or, Norway, or some of these countries, that some of the blue zone places where they're very active and they eat healthy and they're all a fairly fit population. Seeing someone on the streets fat is like not that common, right? And I look at pictures from the beaches of our own country, like back from the 60s. You've probably seen this thing. It's like all the people they just look normal. Nobody's walking around with a six-pack, but nobody also has a 300-pound gut. They all just like normal people. And it's sad that we will literally never see that again. Like we're not going anywhere but backward when it comes to health. And so I feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle at times because of how flooded and watered down the health and fitness industry is with just all the garbage. There's a lot of people out there that are looking to make a quick buck off somebody else's failures. And it's not what I stand for, man.
Yeah, I've always said I wish I didn't have the ethics that I have, because if I would have come up with some fit, because I could have come up with a lot of different fitness products to make a ton of money that did absolutely nothing. And that's still the case. Yeah, I mean, we're 60-something% obese now. Is that it's almost 70%, and I mean, I grew up in the 80s, and maybe there was like 2 fat kids out of like a school of 300 or 400, and now there's like 2. Now there's 2 skinny kids. Right? Like you see and even now it's a weird, and I don't know if you're seeing this too, but it's just this weird kind of young guys, like 15, 16, 17, 18. Whenever I was in that grade, like all of us wanted to be fitter and lift weights and build muscle. And now it appears that that's kind of that's not even a desirable physique anymore. Like they want these super skinny
soy boys.
Yeah. Is that what you call them? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. They're soy boys. So a lot of those guys are vegans, right? So like they don't eat meat. So they don't get much protein. They don't have a lot of muscle mass. And it's just very like, dude, like I could snap them in half, and I'm not like a jack dude, man. Yeah. I'm 5'10", 175. I'm not a huge dude, but some of these kids look like they're as frail as a toothpick. And so, I don't know what this look is, but that is also
androgynous thing. There's a little bit of androgyny, I think, or something going on. Yeah. I mean, the psyche around that is just so screwed up at this point. But
I don't get it, man. We've got a massive culture and standards problem in our country, and it's just seeing men, right, that call themselves men, walk around with standards that are literally non-existent. Like, like they're obese. They're eating fast food all the time. They've got kids. They're feeding their kids all this shit. They're watching porn. They don't dress nice. This is like their life, right? And you're seeing this all over the place. Now, I go to the grocery store, man, and like you see it too. These carts that are full of 2 liters and all this stacked up stuff. Mom and dad are obese. 8-year-olds obese. Hell, my son goes to I was standing in line to see my son's little, they did like a little wax museum thing. And he had to memorize a speech and all this. And I'm at his school, and I'm waiting in line, and I'm standing behind one of the kids that goes to school with him. And my wife recognized his mom. And so she starts conversation with her, and I didn't know the kid. And the kid comes up, and like, this kid's 8 and already has man boobs, dude. Like, I'm like, what are you've got breasts, homie, and you're not even in 3rd grade yet. And so we're in a world of hurt in terms of our cultural norms and really our standards as a society. It's I'm scared of where we're headed, if I'm being honest, because it's not good. The men in this country are so soft. They have no standards. They freak out if their vape pen runs out, and they don't know what to do next. It's like, dude, I don't, and so, it's a challenge.
Yeah. When we were in Moab last week, we're kind of, we're basically jeeping, doing technical trails and all that, but there are different places that you can stop. And there was 3 side-by-sides, which I'm not a huge fan of side-by-sides anyway, but these 2 families get out. So the dad and the mom get out, and they're 300 plus pounds. Yeah. And they have kids from anywhere from 4 to like maybe 11. Okay. And there was like 5 kids, and every single one of those kids was twice the body weight that they should have been. And it's sad. To me, it's like, I don't like, if I'm a fat person, right? Like that's my choice to do it. But like you are now,
it's child abuse.
Yeah, you're abusing your child and creating a lifetime of issues for this child from a very young age. Not only do they not know the difference, but now the physicality, like we are seeing, what are they saying? They're seeing like gout in young kids now. They're saying,
they're putting Lipitor, they're putting 8-year-olds on Lipitor now. It's the stupidest thing.
Type 2 diabetes and all of that. So it's really crazy. And if you're more of a conspiracy theorist, which I'm not really, but like if you look at big food and big pharma and
no need to be a conspiracy theorist. It's facts.
It's just everything that's going on with that. I mean, it's really crazy what we're doing.
It's sad, and the sheep herd mentality that we saw with the masks. When you think about that, but on a little bit larger scale, but without the obvious part of the mask, right? So like the sheep just herded with the mask, and then you still got people they're wearing these damn things, even after their own people have told them, "Hey, man, that doesn't work," and we were just
don't do anything. They're still
but you should keep wearing it. Yeah, like I saw a dude. I live in Texas, man. It was 90 yesterday. I saw a dude outside with a bandana wrapped around his face, under his eyes, all the way down. I'm like, dude, you're pouring sweat and you're outside on your bike. This is a mental disorder at this point.
Yeah. Right? Unless you're robbing a bank, you shouldn't have.
Yeah. What are you doing here? Yeah. Right? It's sad to me, but you saw it with the mask, right? And so with the herd mentality kind of thing, like these pockets of people, they just all keep doing the same shit, and we keep getting worse as a country, right? It's like the food additives and big pharma and big food and the way that they label and the way that they market and all these things to get people addicted and put, the fake sugar and all that. There's a lot of that going on, right? But there's also a certain level of personal accountability and personal responsibility that you have to take. And if you look in the mirror 5 years later and you're 100 pounds overweight, like some of that's on you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the government poisoning your food. That's not big pharma giving you drugs that are going to make you fat. That's on you continuing to neglect yourself and not at least become more informed about what you're doing, right? For me, do I love that there's fluoride in the water? No. I would love to buy one of those fancy things to get all the fluoride out of my water. But I'm aware of it, right? I'm looking for ways to combat the things that I know are hazardous to my health long term. I love sugar, just like you were talking about earlier. I only eat that on Friday and Saturday nights because I know if I let it run into the week, I'm going to be eating it every night. I go hard to the paint on Friday and Saturday nights.
We love the cheap meal, right? Like
I get it out of my system and I move on, right? And so you can't eliminate personal accountability and personal responsibility from the equation, but at the same time, it is a multifaceted approach that is leading to this obesity epidemic that we have now.
Yeah, I think it's a crazy thing because it's not like alcohol, right? Like if you just choose to go cold turkey on alcohol, that makes it easier to get off of the alcohol, right? Like
right.
You have to eat at least twice a day, more like I eat like 6 times a day, but like you can't, you have to eat. So it's a constant, you have to make good choices at least 95% of the time in order to be, have a health. Have good health.
If you say the average dude or the average person eats 3 meals a day, I mean, that's 21 meals a week that you have the opportunity to get a little bit better or move backwards, right? And if you mess up 2 or 3 of those, maybe even 4 of those, you can be all right. You mess up 6 or 7 of those or more, like a lot of people eating fast food every damn meal, you're going to be in a world of hurt and it's going to catch up to you. You can either choose to take care of yourself on the front end of your life or pay for it heavily on the back end of your life, and you're gonna pay the piper inevitably, one way or the other. With hard work, awareness, education, and discipline on the front end, or medications, a lot of hard work because you can barely move. You got to have people move you in the damn bed on the back end, right? I'm sorry, but I'm choosing the front end. I will choose my hard wisely on this one, and I'll take the front end, the fit life.
Yeah, the fitness and health is just such a First of all, it's hard work. Like you keep saying it, but it's like this whole fallacy that we've told people that you just have to do a little bit, you have to do this and do that. And it's not true. And I think if we actually told people the truth that this sucks, I mean, so I became a personal trainer and I degree in exercise physiology and all of that stuff. But like at the heart of it, I was a vain 20-something-year-old. That's why I wanted to get in the gym and build muscle and all that. But the choices that I made back then have now fed into, now I'm getting in, I'm in my early 50s. I'm 50 years old. And now it's so much easier to maintain that. However, after losing down to, 7% body fat, if I had to go travel for business for a week and there's like 3 pounds right there.
Because easy.
It's like, cause my body is like, look, man, I don't really want to have this low body fat, which I can't maintain that for the rest of my life. Obviously.
Nope.
But like
impossible. If you get sick like that, dude, you are going to be in a world of hurt, right?
Yeah.
Most people that have that low body fat percentage don't get sick often because they're in good shape. But if you do and you don't have any reserves, dude, your recovery is going to be not fun. Right?
Yeah. So my me being more like 10, 11% for me is kind of the healthiest, and sitting at that is a lot easier to maintain. But I think what most people miss is that it takes a crap ton of work to get there. Yeah. And it takes a hell of a lot longer to take it off than it does to put it back on. Like I could just eat like crap for 2 weeks and I can put on 6 or 7 pounds pretty easily. And that's what sucks about it is that it, like you said, you've got to make those choices, out of 21 meals, you got to make those choices at every meal. And it's a real challenge. So I'm curious how are you getting, the guys that come to you, I assume are already, because they're willing to invest time and money and ask for help. You're like me. You kind of have this very direct, no BS, like you're fat, you shouldn't be fat anymore. Let's figure out how to get you healthier and do more with your life. I take that same approach, which my wife yells at me about all the time. But like, how do you get these men to go from being coddled by society, kind of you're kind of a loser, but it doesn't really matter because everybody loves you and you're fine, to taking that hard, taking those steps toward hard work. I want to educate the people that are listening to this, the guys that are listening to this, to trying to help them bridge that gap to like I used to joke with my kids. My kids are 25, about to be 26 and 24. And I used to joke with them a little bit. It's kind of had a biting thing, but I said, what if your best, sometimes your best just isn't good enough. Mm-hmm. That's some great parenting advice. But the idea behind it is that when you say you're giving your best, you're really not giving your best. Yeah. You're giving that. So how do you get those guys, what do you tell those guys? How do you get those guys through that path?
Yeah, I think you nailed it a couple minutes ago, man. It's the truth. Like they need to be told the truth. And when you're told the truth right out of the gate, so like one of our things, and I'll give you an example. So we got guys that message us into our CRM through our ads, whatever. And they'll reach out. We'll ask them like, hey, what's your main health focus right now? What are you looking to do? And guy will tell me, yeah, I'll lose about 20 pounds. All right. That's totally doable. What's been your biggest struggle? We'll kind of get into it. Okay. Well, what is your height? What is your most recent weight and how tall are you? Well, I'm 5'10", and I'm 275. Oh, and you want to lose 20 pounds.
Right.
Okay. So you'd like to get down to about 250, and you think that's gonna get it done for you. So I always challenge them. I come back and they're like, listen, dude, you realize that if you only lose 20 pounds, you're going to still be considered morbidly obese. Are you okay with that? No. Okay. Would you be okay with getting down to 175, 180, right? Well, now I've taken them from 20 pounds and I've driven that down to 90 or 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Now they've got to face the truth, the reality. Oh, shit, that hurts a little bit. Okay, 20 pounds, 100 pounds, not the same. Well, now they've heard the truth, right? So if they do end up buying and becoming a client, well, now we don't stop telling them the truth, but we also tell them the truth in a positive light and in a negative light when they need to hear it. If you are showing up every day and you're getting your shit done and you're not losing weight right out of the gate, that's okay. Just know that we recognize your hard work, right? Not everybody's body's a little bit different. Sometimes we'll have guys come in and lose 25 pounds in month 1. Some guys might only lose 5 or 6 in month 1, but then they'll lose 18 or 20 months too, right? Their body composition, you're well versed. But I think the most challenging part, man, is number one, telling them the truth so that they know the facts, right? They got to face reality with what's really in front of them. But then allowing them to have a platform to be able to have that safe space and share some of the shit that might have been holding them back and preventing them from getting healthy in the first place, right? If they've got all these other internal issues that they're dealing with. We got this one of our top clients. Love this guy. His name is Anthony. He came to our retreat not long ago. Guys, he'll be a lifer, right? Know him for life. He had lost some weight, was doing a bunch of cardio, he was doing like 6 days a week, was working with a dietitian and all this shit. And he was referred to us by one of our other top clients. And he tried to tell my business partner, he's like, I think I'd like to wait another 2 to 3 months so that, I can kind of see how this all plays out. My business partner was like, hey, dude, like, you sure you want to wait 3 months? Because, like, I can cut your workout time in half and you don't have to eat, you don't have to count your macros anymore. And this, right? Okay, I guess I'll try it, right? Now the guy has literally transformed his entire life. Like, if you saw his before and after, and like, he's just now scratching the surface, but he's already down. I mean, like, the guy was massive, like 400 pound, 380 pound guy, hiding in pictures. And now, like, he's all like confident. He's got the big smile and, the white teeth, and he's very, very happy. So, getting somebody like him to realize the truth, but to also realize, like, hey, man, you're being misled here, dude. You don't need to do 6 days of long ass cardio every week. You're not doing much weights right now. Why don't we change that up a little bit? You don't need to count every freaking calorie you put into your body, but let's teach you a little bit of nutrition advice so that you're more informed, you're more aware. It's about bridging the gap of where they're at, but also saying, hey, it's going to be hard work, but also showing them, hey, it's going to be hard work, but we make it fun. You're working hard along this other brotherhood of guys that are all leveling up in life. And let's face it, life is hard. Do you want to live the fat life or the fit life? Because it's hard regardless, right? And so I think, like you said earlier, these guys just need to hear the truth, right? They need to be told it's hard work to live this lifestyle. And guess what? At 370, your life sucked and it was really hard as well, right? And so I think that's the biggest challenge, dude, is telling them the truth out of the gate and then letting them know, man, like, this is what you're going to be doing the rest of your life. Like, that's what we try to teach them is, hey, I usually have my guys start off like a 4-day split, right? Hey, man, these 4 days in the gym, they're going to be on your calendar infinitely. Like, that's not going to change. They might even go more than that. But, like, you're going to be lifting weights 4 days a week. Are you okay with that? Like, this is not going away. This is not a 12-week program, and then you get to go back to your old life. This is 6 months of showing up and knowing that this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life, right? And so a lot goes into that, man. But, the habit-building component, the discipline component, and getting them to see that, hey, man, like, if you really want to show your kids and lead by example and show them what it's like to pursue greatness, not just tell them, hey, you can do anything you want in life, son, while I sit over here and eat chips and binge out on Netflix, not really leading by example there. And so that's the biggest, I think the biggest thing is getting them to know the truth and then realize that, like, it's time to embrace this as the journey that it is, because it's not going away.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to have the tools in your toolbox, like being overweight, unmotivated. I mean, all of that is, you've got so few things in your toolbox to be able to work with in your life. And
right.
I think most people see the physicality of being fit, and I don't think they realize everything else that comes along with it.
They only think workout, right?
Yeah.
Diet and exercise. I got to
diet and exercise.
And I got to go do long, sweaty cardio. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, I would trade everybody I talk to, I don't care how old they are, male or female. I'm like, I would gladly have you do weight training and never do cardio at all. If I had to choose one of those two things, especially women, women don't do nearly enough weight training.
Nope.
And men don't either now, right? Like, that's what we're that's what we're seeing. Men aren't doing that either, because it's the tools in your toolbox. It's funny because, like, I tell my wife, I'm like, one of the reasons I lift so much and try to be as strong as I can is because I have to overcome all the stupid crap that I do. So here's a funny example. So we're building, she and I built this 3,400 square foot shop, the two of us. We framed it, 16-foot wall, has all this stuff. So she and I did it. But we're out doing this. I'm trying to get a piece of Tyvek on the side. So I set up this little 6-foot ladder. I'm staying on the ladder. I'm on a little kind of a platform that was sketchy. Like I never should have put the ladder on this thing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm on top of this like 3-foot drop. So I, of course, fall off the damn ladder because it slips out from under me because I'm an idiot. So I fall, right? My leg actually gets inside this 6-foot ladder, which is made out of aluminum.
Oh, gosh.
My femur bent the step on the 6-foot ladder.
Oh, wow.
No injuries whatsoever. I was not injured. No tendon issues. Didn't, nothing happened. Like it scared the crap out of me because I fell.
Right.
But like, there's my stupid man ego though. I'm like, that's awesome. That is so cool that I bent that ladder. But I'm thinking to myself, this is the amount of training that I do is what makes my bones and my muscles work together so well. Because if I was unfit, or if I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'm in the friggin' hospital, right? Like that's an extreme example of doing stupid things, but just being able to live through your life and do the things that you want to do and avoid injury. Like we all have aches and pains. And as you get older, you have a few more and here and there, but just that injury avoidance because I'm if you're like me, if you lift 5 or 4, 5, 6 days a week, you're just sore all the time. I mean, and what's funny is that I miss it. If I have to take a week off and I don't have that just underlying soreness or tightness and all that, then I just feel like crap and I miss the soreness. So that kind of comes along with it.
No, I agree with that. Like it's the hurts so good kind of mentality. Like if you're not sore, then you almost feel incomplete, right? You've got used to that post-workout, like just constant little bit of subtle soreness. And it's just a reminder that you paid the dues for the day, right? Yeah, for sure. Love it.
Well, I mean, I think that you've hit the nail on the head. I'm excited that you're able to help a ton of people. And, I would only wish, because I'm sure that there's a decent percentage that are like, look, I'm just not willing to put in the work to work. I'm not able to make a commitment. I don't want to make it. I just want to kind of keep doing what I'm doing. So what advice would you, if someone's listening to this with a, bowl of chips in front of them, or whatever, what kind of advice would you give to kind of help them take that first step?
We unpacked a lot today, and I think that, it all starts with a decision, dude. And I know that sounds so cliche, but like at some point you just have to decide that you don't want to be a fat piece of shit anymore. I mean, let's call it what it is. You don't want to be an obese dad. You don't want to be a guy who's not leading by example, who tells themselves that you are leading by example. That's a lie, right? Like, I'm not advocating for everybody to have a 6-pack, right? That's not who I am. You mentioned, your physique earlier. It's easier to stay at around 10 or 11. That's probably where I'm at. I mean, I have visible abs, but this is not something that I go around like flaunting, right? It's like, I'm not chiseled like 7%, right? Like my abs are not 7%, right? But I have some abdominal definition. So
you want to be comfortable. You're probably comfortable if you have to take your shirt off when you're working outside, right? To have that comfort. To say, look, I'm fit enough. I'm confident enough to do that. And that's, that's a good thing.
I'm not going to take off my shirt and be scared that man boobs and a beer gut are hanging out like they were when I was 60 pounds overweight. I can assure you that.
Yeah.
I have pecs and abs now, right? So it's a great trade-off. But I think, I'm not advocating for any of that. What I am advocating for is think about the future. If you're a dad and you have kids, think about what the foundation that you're creating for your children. We alluded to the story about the obese parents I talked about the kid with the man boobs, the 8-year-old with the man boobs. Like, if those are your kids, right? Like, that's your fault. That's what you're producing right now. It's not your kid's fault. And so I would challenge you as a father, right? It's hard for me to help anybody else because I help dads, right? And that's who we work with. And so if you're an overweight dad and you don't have kids and you want to be fat your whole life, dude, you do you. But if you've got kids, all right, I'm speaking to you if you've got kids. If you've got kids, you really need to ask yourself what foundation you want to create for your children. Because if you're creating the foundation of unhealthy, obese, and, unkept, Well, dude, your kids are going to struggle. They're going to have a really, really hard, long, hard life. Health ailments, medications, conditions, doctor's visits, all of those things that come along with being unhealthy. And you got to own that as the dad. That's all on you. So my advice is do some soul searching, dude. Like, make a decision that you're ready to change your identity. Make a decision that you're ready to become the ultimate role model for your family and start leading by example. It starts with a decision just to take a one step better. You talked about the walking earlier, right? Dude, just start taking a few walks a week. Like we talked about the weights. I would love every dude to lift weights, but if you're not there right now, that's okay. Start tomorrow with something that will make you 1% better. If you haven't walked or you haven't done any form of exercise in a year, dude, go take a half-mile walk and just do that 3 times a week and start seeing how much better you will feel. Your body craves that feeling. And your body will reward you very heavily in the beginning because it's going to say, holy shit, I love this. Give me more.
Yeah.
When can we go again? Right. And that's that momentum, not motivation, but that momentum is what you have to create. And when you start to create that momentum for yourself, it becomes quite the fun process, as you well know.
Yeah. It's, yeah. And you know, the whole idea of being there for your kids when they're older, right? Like if you're not, I don't care what kind of drugs you put on yourself. You're not going to live a longer, healthier, fuller life.
Nope.
By being 55, 100 pounds overweight, you know, high blood pressure, you're going to either stroke out or have a heart attack. And,
yep.
You know, that's just not a good place. So you have to teach your kids, you know, that health by your whole family will be healthier. You know, typically your spouse, your kids, your brothers. And so like everybody in life will see and be motivated.
When we, as men, when we raise our standards, so do others, right? When we raise our standards, our kids, our wives, our brothers, our sisters, our neighbors, our community, they all see that, hey, he did it, so can I. There's a trickle-down effect, and it's about being personally excellent. It's about raising your standards as a man so that others around you will do the same. But yet, to your point, if you want to be around long-term for your kids and you don't want to be laid up in a nursing home or be the guy that Jason, myself, was doing chest compressions on while your kids are in the ICU room hoping and praying that 43-year-old dad pulls through. Like, don't be that guy, man. Like that, you don't have to be that guy. You deserve to live a better life. And it all starts with making that decision that you're the one that's going to change the trends for your family. We see this a lot, that my whole family's obese. I'm just meant to be obese. Everyone in my family's no. You're a dad and you have the opportunity to change generation trends here. If you get fit and your whole family takes mental note, and they start to buy in, and now you've got a healthy family unit, and everybody starts to get healthy, and they start to exercise, and they start to become one. Well, what are your kids then going to do for their kids? They're going to have healthy kids and raise healthy kids too, because it feels damn good to feel damn good. This is how it works. And so there's no such thing as a fat obesity. It runs in my family. No, and the doctor, the old joke, nobody runs in your family. The reality is it's not that. Like, yes, is there some things that could be tied to genetics? 100%. But can you combat all of that with lifestyle? Absolutely. 100%. But it takes you not making excuses to do so, and holding yourself accountable as a father and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's going to be me that changes this for good, and it's time to get to work. Yeah,
personal. Your facts about making excuses, they're just lies to yourself, and you have to it's taking personal responsibility. That whole thing where everybody in my family's fat, it's a disease, I can't control it, this is genetic. First of all, that's like such a tiny percentage of anyone that has a metabolic disorder, which you can combat anyway through good, healthy lifestyle choices. So don't use that as an excuse. It's not just about health and fitness, right? It's a life-changing, the health and fitness and fat and nutrition, that's a small aspect of our overall health.
And like I said, health and fitness are simply the foundation for living your best life, right? Yeah. It shouldn't be optional. Like, make yourself a priority so everybody else in your life gets the best version of you, not the third, fourth, or eighth best version. When we make ourselves the top priority, everybody else gets the best. And with more men would adopt that mentality, we would start to see the trend change.
Yeah, we'd change the country for sure. 100%. We'd change it. Yeah. Well, how do people get a hold of you? Where do they reach you? Where do they see you? Kind of get that thing started.
Yeah, man. So, I'm not a big pitch guy. You can come over and check out Our website is thefatherhoodexperience.com. I've started a brand new Instagram account, which I'm doing daily content on now. And that is @_Jason Priest. And then, if you want to get into our world and see what we're all about, we do have a $10 a month program, which is just gives you a little taste and would give you the opportunity to see who we are, how we operate, and if fatherhood might be the real home for you. But our $10 a month program is called Fitness for Dads by Dads. And you can go to fitnessfordadsbydads.com, check out what you get. You get a private group, you get a fitness app to track all your progress, you get our top nutrition course for dads, and you also get twice a month live coaching calls from Zach and I. Personally do live coaching calls in there for $10 a month. So it's an absolute steal. So those are the opportunities to get in my world, dude, and connect with me on a deeper level.
Nice. Well, I mean, this is a great conversation. I love talking about this stuff, and I'm glad to find other men that are kind of on that same page. And
yeah, no doubt.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you get all your stuff moved into your new house.
Thanks, dude.
So
Appreciate it, man. It was fun.
All right, Jason, have a great day.
Thanks, Kevin. You too, man.
If you're looking to really maximize your life and become the man you were made to be, head over to maxedoutman.com and get your journey started today.